Okay, I think we got it.
Okie dokie.
Take it away.
Okie dokie. There we go. Hey, Vicki. Hey, chat. How you doing?
We're doing good, Barb.
Woohoo! Yasumi! Hello! Good to see you.
I'm just speaking our minds. I don't follow lines, I don't play it safe. Got a mind that runs in a different way. Say what I think, yeah, I mean what I say. If it goes off track, well, that's okay. No script, no plan, no filter tonight. Just real talk coming straight, no disguise. We're off the rails, yeah, on purpose. Say it loud, don't rehearse it. No rules here, no disguise. Just the truth in real time. Off the rails, no apologies. Take it how it's gotta be. If it shakes things up, that's fine. We're just speaking our minds. You can watch, you can stay, you can walk away, but I'm not here trying to make it safe. Little chaos never scared me yet. If it gets too real, don't place your bets. We're off the rails, yeah, on purpose. Say it loud, don't rehearse it. Yeah. No filter, no script, no lies. Just real talk. Every time.
Sorry about that, Vicki.
What?
I have two openers, one with me and you and one with just me in case you don't come in. So I played the wrong one. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
Vicki
Don't-
is here.
It's
Oy vey.
okay.
Yeah, this is the one that it should have been. I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to show the picture.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I wasn't going to play it.
I'm
See?
speaking now.
That's the
There we
picture we
go.
needed to have.
That's all right.
Oy vey. So, did you hear about McConnell and Graham?
Yes, yes. I found out about it last night, but about 10 minutes after he was dead.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't get
Crazy.
over that.
I'm waiting on the third one.
A sudden illness.
Yeah,
My butt.
right, because he looked healthy as a horse when he got off that plane.
Yeah, Ricky told me this morning at, what, 5? And I was
Yeah.
like, no way.
Yeah. I figured old McConnell would be the first one to croak.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
he's in the
already-
hospital too now.
Huh?
He's in the hospital too now.
Oh, yeah, he's been in there for 27 days.
McConnell?
Mitch, yes.
Wow. It's his heart, right?
Well, that's what they're saying. Yeah. I think they got him on ice like they did Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
Right.
you know. But like I said, I'm wondering who's going to be three. It comes in threes. Who's
Right.
next?
Right.
It's
Let's
kinda
play this
scary.
one instead. I feel like I've got energy right now, so.
I love him. That's right.
They a bunch of Satanists, criminals, murderers and pedos. We all pray to God while they worshiping the devil. Yeah, it's Hollywood, the royal family, politicians left and right. They seem anti-American, they anti-Christ. They anti-Christ. They anti-Christ. They seem anti-American, they anti anti-Christ. It ain't left and right no more, cause now it's good and evil. They used to call it a conspiracy, but now it's real. We seen the files and the facts, don't care how you feel. They having pizza parties and that means they eating people. This might wake them up, QAnon didn't make it up. Missing kids got flown to Jeffrey's Island by who paid enough. The rich and famous, the young eat human flesh, it ain't for fun. It's ancient ritual, sucking adrenochrome from baby's blood. They call us crazy, but they should be behind bars. They call us liars cause they don't wanna get charged. They call us conspiracy theorists, but in their hearts they know all the names they call us ain't as bad as what they are. They are Satanists, criminals, murderers and pedos. We all pray to God while they worshiping the devil. Yeah, it's Hollywood, the royal family, politicians left and right. They seem anti-American, they anti-Christ. They anti-Christ. They anti-Christ. They seem anti-American, they anti-Christ. It ain't a culture war no more, the real fight is started. We've been up against each other, but now we the targets. It's the rappers, it's the actors, the elites in charge. It's kings and queens, they all bowing to the prince of darkness. Things ain't getting better, they run the world with rich investors. The cult came from Egyptian deserts, now they cannibals in Gucci sweaters. Using AI to fuel agendas, control the news, the truth, the weather. Now we're ruled by a group of dudes who are all satanic child molesters. They call us crazy, but they should be behind bars. They call us liars cause they don't wanna get charged. They call us conspiracy theorists, but in their hearts they know all the names they call us ain't as bad as what they are. They are Satanists, criminals, murderers and pedos. We all pray to God while they worshiping the devil. Yeah, it's Hollywood, the royal family, politicians left and right. They seem anti-American, they anti-Christ. They anti-Christ. They anti-Christ. They seem anti-American, they anti-Christ.
Okay, how's that for energy?
Yeah.
Oh, la, la, la. Okay, you remember. Do you remember anything? No, I don't. How was your other show, by the way?
Oh, it was good.
It's good. Are you doing one after this show, too?
Yes.
Just call Vicki Miss PSB. ZSB, I should say. All right. Remember, oh, shoot.
I
Refresh.
think you did.
Okay. Slideshow. Remember this dog? I've played it a couple of times. Are you going to play? There we go.
The temps have been in the single digits for a while, and we've gotten a ton of new snow.
Oh.
Tomorrow hot? Let's see. Yeah, well, actually it says tomorrow snow. Ooh, it's a winter weather advisory. Yeah, cold rain. Cold rain.
That dog is so freaking smart.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen cats doing this, and now I can't believe I found this. I cannot believe it, but I'm following them because I am absolutely mesmerized by these buttons. I wish my dogs would take to it.
New angle from last night so you can see his board from his view. And he told me something I never would have found on my own.
Now, this horse just started with the buttons.
Wow.
Uh-huh. It's like they pick up on it right away.
Huh.
Are we missing out on our animals?
Yeah, I believe so, 100%.
You want more itchy?
I clearly didn't get the right spot the first time. He was going for his ear. It looked like he was going to go for the beamer here, but nope.
Itchy.
Turns out he had some kind of little bug or scab down his left ear, something I never would have found if he had not kept telling me.
Wow.
Itchy, itchy, itchy.
All done?
I thought he might be done for the night, but he had to have his posture prep.
I like how she cut his mane.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now he's showing me he's done.
Not today? Oh, I think that's a not today.
Oh,
2 days of riding in a row is normally my signal to lighten the load, and it looks like my instinct might be right. He had one complaint, one request, and no interest in working tonight. Thank you very much. Helping horses be heard is the heart of what I do. Learn more at charlieconnectionproject.com.
I just think that's amazing that they're using these buttons.
yeah, it is.
I wonder who figured that one out.
Yeah, no kidding. So you've got buttons and you've tried them with your dogs?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you get instructions on how to do it? I mean,
Well, I've watched a couple of the videos from the place that I bought them, and I've introduced them to the buttons. And so far, the only one that has bothered to use it was Wally. Of all
Really?
people, yeah. Because it says one of the buttons is potty outside, and he'll walk by it and hit it with his hip because I have it on the wall. I know, right? Crazy dog.
wow.
But he does talk when he's playing and stuff. He's the one that you hear on the phone all the time lately.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really thought it was going to be Penny that would do it. My little schnauzer mix. She's afraid of him.
Wow.
So I'm just going to keep working with them, and we'll see. Because
Yeah.
I want to talk to my dogs.
And it would be great. That would be, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here's another fluff thing to watch.
Out of the candy, the light's going to come through. We're doing a stained glass thing, so the sun is actually going to be glowing. It's glowing already. Ta-da! So I'm trying to go a really light blue, and I think I might have overdone it. Whoops, that might be too much. Her scream is so good. It's the best part of the song. Roll it, but it's a liquid. How do I roll it? You said you knew what you were doing. It's been a while since you watched. Guys, who oiled this table? Get your glue away from my glue. Woo! Someone
What the hell have you done,
someone
Annabelle?
did oil the table, okay? It's not my fault.
God damn that someone.
Yeah, wow.
Watch
Who
your
did
language,
that?
buddy.
I don't know, you put all the tools. My tools, yeah. You put all of them, I can't do anything. I need you to steal yours. So you guys have seen us before, have you seen us make bubbles? Yeah? What if I made a... Whoa! And that's how you make fairy dust.
That was
Three
cool.
things. You can make one thing and turn into three instead of two things. Yeah.
Look at that blue.
Very pretty.
Yeah, but don't look at me. Like you're deep in.
What we're gonna do is you don't want one. They offered it to us. Didn't they offer us a TV show and it just sounded awful?
Sounded awful.
They were like, come to be on our we'll do a reality TV show that will make you fight all the time. It was like, we're fighting enough. I'm making some domes so that our sun will actually be
Round.
round. I didn't get my bag of Garfield lollies for my boyfriend who loves Garfield.
Terrible girlfriend.
I know, I'm a terrible girlfriend. Oh, I thought I was giving it to you. Sorry, I got nervous. I'm just gonna make this scrap and shut up. There's something like, one bit of this is really hard. Great album out of it. No, I'm talking about the optics. We need Taylor Swift to lead him at the altar, I think.
Please.
You should send her an email. I'm going to post this video and say, Taylor Swift, your next PR stunt should be to leave Travis Kelce at the altar.
Dang.
It's actually.
That's it. That's it. Oh, nearly.
I know that was
so
that was a
good.
lift. That was a solid 15 I rolled. See it either. I mean, I see like a response to it, but I don't see it, which is I'm gonna have that. Oh no, you do.
I hope it comes out better than it looks right
It's actually best seen if you hold it up to the light.
Oh,
You can.
That's cute.
yes, it was.
Wow.
That was way cute.
Yeah. Do we want to watch another little fluff thing, or do we want to go into a program?
Watch more fluff.
More fluff. Okay. Okay, let's see. I should put this under F instead of W.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh. Right here. Woodworking.
Oh, yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. Look at all the pokes on that one. See? so pretty.
God, it was beautiful.
Uh-huh. All right. How about Lauren, the mortician?
God, I love her.
I know, me too. Oh, let's see. Here. They took the wrong tunnel? This is a half hour.
Unless you live under a rock, which honestly, maybe you do. I don't know your life. You have probably seen the headlines about the group of divers who vanished inside an underwater cave system in the Maldives. And ever since I first saw the story, I have been absolutely hyper-fixated on it, concerningly invested. Because the deeper I got into the details, the more this entire thing started sounding like underwater Final Destination. We're talking experienced divers trapped 165 feet underwater inside a cave system. And somehow things went catastrophically wrong. And I cannot stop thinking about it. Is there something wrong with me? Maybe. Probably. Anyways, I basically took it upon myself to put all of the pieces of the story together because every time I opened another article, it somehow got more horrifying. So now we have what investigators believe happened, the recovery timeline, where the divers were found inside the cave, the body recovery operation, the recovery diver who also lost his life, and even the cave recovery team's theory about what they think happened down there. I don't know if you've been following this case as closely as I have, but don't worry. I'm here to save the day and spiral about it with you. That's why you're here, right? Because underneath all the headlines and recovery operations, this is still the story of 5 people who went into that cave together and never came back out. This feels like a terrible time to break out in song, so I'm going to whisper it. I'm going with it. You'll make it better. Cause it's just another morbid Monday. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wish it was Friday. Death, dying, and decay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's gonna be a great day. Cha, cha, cha. Okay, anyways, somebody clicked on this video for the first time and is absolutely regretting their life choices right now. Hi, I'm Lauren. Welcome to the mortuary. Cue the intro. On May 14th, 2026, a yacht called the Duke of York headed out into the waters of the Maldives carrying a group of Italian tourists and divers. What was supposed to be a beautiful day of diving in paradise would quickly become one of the deadliest diving disasters in Maldives history. Among the passengers preparing for the dive were 51-year-old ecology professor Monica Montefalcone, her 20-year-old daughter Georgia Somakal, marine biologist Federico Gualtieri, researcher Muriel Odenino, and diving instructor Gianluca Benedetti. I'm so sorry if I pronounced any of those incorrectly. I was born in the Midwest and words are hard sometimes, don't you know? Now, this wasn't just some casual tourist dive. Monica and Muriel were in the Maldives as part of a scientific mission connected to the University of Genoa. They were researching coral ecosystems, biodiversity, and the effects climate change is having on tropical marine environments. And Monica herself was an incredibly experienced underwater diver. According to her husband, Carlo, she had completed around 5,000 dives and was considered an exceptionally skilled diver, which makes this entire story even more unsettling because these weren't inexperienced tourists making reckless decisions on vacation for YouTube views. There were also supposed to be a 6th diver joining the group that fateful day, but at the last minute, she decided not to descend, not knowing that that decision would ultimately save her life, which I'm sorry, there's that Final Destination energy I mentioned in the intro, full body chills. Why didn't she go? Did she have a bad feeling? Did she have a dream? A premonition, if you will? I don't know if we'll ever know, but I'm pretty sure she's thankful she didn't go. Now, the dive site itself is where things start getting really creepy. The group was descending into a notoriously difficult underwater cave system near Alamatha and Vavu Atoll called Divana Kandu. Say that 5 times fast. Although some reports also refer to it as simply, and I'm gonna go with the simply name because I can actually say it, Shark Cave. which is already a name that would make me stay on the boat with a snack and a life jacket and hopefully a margarita, because this is just not a normal reef dive. The cave system sits around 55 to 60 meters underwater, roughly 165 to almost 200 feet deep. And the cave already had a reputation for being extremely difficult. Strong currents, deep chambers, tight passageways, poor visibility, and dark sections where natural light completely disappears. Nightmare fuel. And after looking at the footage from inside the cave, yeah, some portions are dark, like pitch black dark. Like your flashlight becomes your entire world dark. According to reports, the divers were using standard 12-liter scuba cylinders instead of the kind of highly specialized cave diving setup technical divers would normally use for a dive this deep. And to kind of dumb that down on why that matters, yes, I looked into it. The deeper you go underwater, the faster you burn through your air, because the pressure underwater is compressing the air that you breathe. So even though the tanks are physically the same size at 165 feet deep, your body is using that air way faster than it would near the surface, which meant the deeper they got into this cave system, the less time they had to explore and safely get back out. Experts now believe they may have only had around 10 minutes, maybe even less, before needing to turn around and begin exiting the cave system. And that's before you factor in panic, heavy breathing, confusion, or potentially getting lost. Because cave diving is one of those few situations where human beings can become fully aware they are trapped. You cannot swim upward. There is a rock above you, darkness around you, and however much air is left in your tank. So the group geared up and entered into the water and descended into Shark Cave, and then they never came back up. At first, nobody knew exactly what had happened underwater. All the people on board the Duke of York knew was that the divers had gone down and they weren't coming back up. And with a dive this deep, time matters, because at nearly 165 feet underwater, this is not the kind of situation where divers can just casually stay down longer than planned. So when the group failed to resurface, emergency recovery operations started almost immediately. And from what I've read, the first divers entering the cave system quickly realized this was going to be far worse than anyone expected, because visibility inside portions of the cave was already difficult, and the deeper sections completely dark. Then, on May 15th, the day after the group disappeared, Maldivian recovery divers made the first devastating discovery. The body of diving instructor Gianluca Benedetti was recovered closer to the entrance of the cave system, not far from the exit. Heartbreaking, which immediately makes your brain start spiraling. Did he try to lead them out? How did he get separated from the group? Because the remaining 4 divers were still missing deeper inside the cave. And at that point, recovery crews were beginning to realize the group was definitely trapped somewhere further inside the cave system itself. Side note, cave diving, or caves in general, are terrifying to me for one specific reason. You cannot go straight up. There is no emergency exit. And if you lose your way inside of the cave, you are completely dependent on memory, visibility, guidelines, if you have one, and however much air you have left. Terrifying. Count me out, team. And then the body recovery mission itself turned deadly. I don't know if you heard about this, but 43-year-old Maldivian military diver named Staff Sergeant Mohammed Mahdi became ill during recovery operations after diving into the cave system searching for the missing divers. And later, he died, which means now this cave system had claimed 6 lives total. According to reports, he died from decompression sickness, also known as the bends. And if you've never heard of that before, basically what happens is this. The deeper you go underwater, the more pressure your body is under. That pressure causes gas like nitrogen to dissolve into your tissues. Then when divers ascend, they have to come up slowly enough for those gases to safely leave the body again. But if that process gets disrupted, those gases can form bubbles inside the bloodstream and tissues, which can cause severe pain, paralysis, confusion, breathing problems, strokes, and even death. And the fact that a trained military recovery diver died during the search tells you just how dangerous that cave environment really was. The Maldivian National Defense Force called off their recovery efforts to locate the bodies of the remaining 4 divers on Saturday, May 16th. And that's when a specialized team of Finnish cave divers from Dan, Europe were brought in. And I want to note that these are not standard recreational divers. These are elite technical cave divers, specifically trained for deep cave penetration, complex underwater navigation, recovery operations, and high-risk environments where even trained rescuers can die, which by this point had already happened. So when the Finnish recovery team entered the cave system, they knew they were diving into an environment that had already taken the lives of 6 people. And what they discovered inside Shark Cave would finally begin piecing together the horrifying final moments of the group. So the specialized dive team is made up of 3 divers. One is tasked with the actual body recovery, the second with operational safety support, and the third with documenting everything about the dive site and the body recovery. Almost like a medical examiner, mortician team, but make it diver edition style. The cave is their crime scene and everything is documented. And once the Finnish recovery team entered the cave, investigators finally started getting a clearer picture of what may have happened inside Shark Cave. According to their reports, the cave system begins with a large chamber that's actually fairly open and bright. There's a sandy bottom, natural light reaches portions of the entrance. Visibility at first doesn't seem all that terrible. The cavern, it seems peaceful almost. This cavern is where the first body diving instructor Gianluca was found by the Maldivian authorities days earlier. Recovery divers continue swimming through the cave system, describing a long corridor leading into a secondary chamber where natural light completely disappears. And between these chambers was this sort of sandy underwater sandbank or ridge that the divers actually had to swim over and then slightly downward to get into the darker chamber beyond it. Now, this is the detail that gave me full body anxiety because according to the recovery team, once divers crossed over that sandy embankment and turned around to leave, maybe just double check where they came from, the cave visually changed. The sandbank made the actual exit corridor blend into the cave walls, almost like the way out disappeared entirely. And nearby that exit was another tunnel, a dead-end tunnel, only a few dozen meters long, but with absolutely no exit. Finnish recovery divers said they began noticing disturbances along the cave floor, signs there had been some pretty good movement there, before eventually locating the divers inside what he described as a pitch black section of the cave. Under flashlights, recovery divers located 3 of the Italian divers' bodies on the cave floor, and one of them was floating against the roof of the cave, which means investigators now believe the group may have accidentally mistaken the dead-end tunnel for the real exit while trying to escape the cave. And if that's true, this is one of the most terrifying things I can literally imagine. Because remember, these divers were already deep underwater, burning through air quickly due to the pressure, inside complete darkness, likely relying entirely on dive lights and memory. And once panic starts underwater, everything gets worse. Your breathing speeds up, your air disappears faster, your thinking becomes less clear. And cave diving experts say disorientation inside underwater caves can happen incredibly quickly, especially if sediment gets disturbed. Sediment is that weird mucky sand on the bottom, right? You kick it up and everything gets cloudy, which based on some footage I've watched from this exact cave on YouTube, it would not take much to kick up that sediment because some portions of this cave are so dark that once that sediment gets kicked up, your flashlight basically becomes useless. You are in complete blackness. And that thought makes my chest hurt because hearing that all of the divers were found practically grouped together inside that dead-end tunnel instead of scattered throughout the cave means they likely stayed together until the very end. And I keep thinking about that mother and daughter because as horrifying as this already was, there's something especially heartbreaking about imagining a mother trying to protect her daughter in those final moments while both of them realized they couldn't find a way out. And weirdly enough, I have to throw this in there, I keep hoping visibility did collapse quickly for them, because if enough sediment got kicked up inside that cave, it might have created what divers call a silt out, basically underwater blindness. You can't see the walls, can't see the exit. You sometimes can't even see your own hand in front of your face. And as horrible as that sounds, part of me hopes it happened quickly enough that they didn't fully have to watch each other die. Does anyone else's brain think like I do? Because the alternative is almost too awful to think about. So by now, investigators were beginning to believe this may have been a simple navigation mistake inside one of the least forgiving environments on Earth. So by Wednesday, May 20th, the specialized Finnish recovery team had finally recovered all of the remaining 4 divers from inside the cave system, which means these bodies have been submerged underwater inside Shark Cave for almost an entire week. The divers' bodies were turned over to the Maldivian authorities, who are overseeing the investigation and autopsy process before the victims can eventually be released back to their families. And from a mortuary science perspective, a week underwater is a long time, especially in warm tropical salt water, because decomposition does not stop underwater. It just changes. And yes, this is the part of the video where we talk about decomposition, because it would not be a Lauren the Mortician episode otherwise. Which again, completely normal part of what happens after death. Not normal to die in a cave system, but decomposition is completely normal after death. I mean, it's expected. Now, a lot of people imagine underwater bodies immediately floating around dramatically, like in the movies, but that's usually not what happens initially. Most bodies actually sink at first, especially divers, because they're wearing heavy tanks, weight systems, wetsuits, gear, and equipment specifically designed to help control buoyancy underwater. But as decomposition begins, bacteria inside the body naturally start producing gases. And over time, those gases can create buoyancy changes. Now, here's where this gets especially interesting in deep water. At depths like 165 feet, that pressure underwater is incredibly intense. We've established that. The pressure compresses gases inside the body, which can delay the bloating and floating people normally associate with decomposition. So bodies at depth often remain submerged much longer than people expect, which is why I found one recovery detail especially interesting when one of the divers was found floating against the roof of the cave, while the other 3 were found lower toward the cave floor. And scientifically, that actually makes sense, because that underwater buoyancy after death can dramatically vary depending on your body composition, how much residual trapped air you have inside your equipment, your own bodily decomposition gases, the positioning of the body, currents, weights, and even tiny differences in their gear setup. So even though all 4 divers were in the same cave system, their bodies may not have behaved the same way underwater over those several days. And something else people might not realize is that underwater death investigations involve much more than just an autopsy itself. Investigators also examined the dive computer data, oxygen usage, equipment, cave conditions, witness statements, and sometimes video footage, which brings us to Monica's GoPro. Because according to her husband, she frequently recorded her dives, all of her dives. And if that camera was recovered, it may become one of the most important pieces of evidence in understanding what happened inside that cave. Not necessarily for the public, and personally, I don't even know if we should ever see footage like that, but for the investigators and for the families, it could help explain final timelines, visibility conditions, navigation decisions, and what exactly went wrong inside Shark Cave. And sometimes understanding what happened is part of helping families process the impossible. As of filming this, the investigation into the Shark Cave disaster is still ongoing. Autopsy results are still pending. That could take months. I'm not even gonna lie. Investigators are still reviewing the dive conditions, and families are still waiting for answers about what exactly happened inside that cave system. But I think the reason this story has affected so many people around the world is because it taps into one of the most most primal human fears imaginable. Darkness, confusion, running out of time, and being trapped somewhere you cannot escape. I don't know about you, but I still cannot stop thinking about the mother and daughter team, because no matter how experienced Monica was, at the end of the day, she was still a mom underwater beside her child. And there's just something deeply heartbreaking about imagining their final moments together, especially knowing that the group appeared to stay together instead of separating throughout the cave system. And maybe that's one of the small comforts in all of this, is that they weren't alone. And then there's that GoPro footage, which I will absolutely be following this to see if there is any tidbits of that released or talked about, because I know that they're going to be able to piece together what happened if they're able to examine that footage. And a part of me is dying to know what the camera shows. But then the other part of me thinks, do we really need to see that as the public? Because this wasn't just a diving accident. This was 5 human beings trapped underwater in darkness, trying to find their way out. And that thought has honestly stayed with me since I first read about this case, because they trusted Monica. She was experienced, highly experienced. Her husband said she had around 5,000 dives under her belt. That's incredible. So imagine being down there, following someone you trust completely who's done this 5,000 times, and then suddenly realizing none of you can find the exit. Morbid thoughts. I have to say this. I have to know if you think like I do. What keeps getting me emotionally about this case is this. They likely didn't all lose oxygen at the same moment, because underwater, panic changes everything. The faster you breathe, the faster your air disappears, which means some of them may have had more time than others. And as awful as this sounds, I keep wondering who stayed calm the longest. Was it Monica because she had the most experience, or was it worse for her because she understood exactly what was happening? Because with her level of experience, she had to know how little air they truly had left. She had to understand what that wrong tunnel meant. And that's the part of the story that I cannot stop thinking about, that I'm laying awake at night thinking about. Not the headlines, not the sharks, not even the cave itself, just that absolutely devastating human moment of realizing we can't find the way out. And do I think that footage will ever publicly be released? Honestly, I have no idea. That decision will likely be up to the Maldivian investigators and the families involved. And truthfully, part of me hopes it never gets released, because at the end of the day, they were still real human beings in what were likely terrifying final moments. But let's say they do release the camera clips. Another part of me wonders if portions of that footage could someday be used as a warning, because this tragedy didn't just risk the lives of the divers themselves, it also cost the life of a recovery diver who went in searching for them. And that is something I think people sometimes forget about these extreme environments. When things go wrong, it's not only the people involved in the initial accident who are at risk. There's the recovery teams, military divers, forensic teams, and rescue personnel, and they all end up entering the same dangerous situations trying to bring people home to their families. And in this case, one of them never came out alive. I also think this story highlights something important about cave diving. The ocean is beautiful. The ocean is fascinating. It's super scientific, peaceful, definitely mysterious, but it is also completely indifferent to human beings. And underwater caves, especially, are some of the least forgiving environments on Earth. This entire case has captivated me because it feels impossible to comprehend until you start breaking down the science, the environment, the recovery, and the human side of it all together. And for the families involved, I truly, truly hope that they eventually get the answers and closure that they need. I'll keep monitoring this case because of course, I'm going to. But for now, let's move into the questions. You've left me some questions in the comment sections that you are dying to know. This is the segment of the show where we get morbid. We were already morbid, but we're getting more morbid with your questions. I love it. Have you ever explained what the different embalming chemicals do? So first of all, I love this question because I think people imagine embalming fluid is just like one singular mystery fluid sitting in a haunted jug somewhere. But no, we are basically corpse bartenders. Can I say that? I don't know, I just did. So different embalming fluids do different things depending on the condition of the body: dehydration, edema, trauma, autopsy cases, tissue firmness, and honestly, what the embalmer is trying to accomplish aesthetically. Aesthetically. I hate that word. So for example, some fluids are stronger and more preservative based. Some are more for cosmetics. Some restore moisture to the body. Some dry tissues out out, some firm tissues up. And sometimes you're trying to do multiple things all at once. Like let's say somebody is very edematous, meaning they're retaining a ton of fluid in their tissues. As an embalmer, you're trying to dry those tissues out and reduce swelling while also not turning them into human beef jerky. So you may use stronger drying fluids in certain areas while also using humectants or restorative chemicals to help maintain moisture and a more natural appearance in others. Because the goal isn't just preserve the body, although that is very important. The goal is preserve the body while still making them look peaceful and recognizable for the family. Which is why embalming is honestly this weird mix of science, art, chemistry, problem solving, and occasionally standing there staring at somebody like, okay, bestie, what exactly are we doing here today? And yes, some of the fluids are different colors. So if you see pink fluid, purple fluid, clear fluid, reddish fluid, that doesn't necessarily mean they're completely different chemicals. Sometimes dyes are added so embalmers can visually track where the fluid is going, distributing throughout the body during embalming. Basically, okay class, as you can see, the embalming fluid is reaching the face now. I can see I've got great distribution. We love that. Purple fluids are often associated more with restorative or humectant fluids, meaning they help restore moisture and improve tissue appearance. Pink fluids are often more cosmetic or arterial-based fluids, but every funeral home and manufacturer uses slightly different formulations and combinations, if you will. And something else people don't realize is that embalmers also take things like skin tone and undertones into consideration too, because different arterial fluids and cosmetic dyes can affect appearance differently depending on the person. For example, some fluids may create more of a pink tone, while others leave tissues looking more tan or bronze or brown or natural, depending on someone's complexion. And this matters because the goal isn't make everyone look embalmed. The goal is make them look like themselves, because every single body reacts differently. Some people retain fluid differently. Some dehydrate quickly. Some tissues become very firm. And embalmers are basically sitting there like, okay, what do we do now? Pause, think, reassess. People just think we pump everybody full of some mystery fluid and call it a day. But no, we are corpse estheticians with chemistry degrees we got emotionally. That's what I'm going with today. All right, next question. I lost my cousin in 2021 due to unknown causes, but he was 600 to 700 pounds when he died and he was cremated. And I was wondering how they fit him in the crematory oven. Okay, first of all, I am so sorry for the loss of your cousin. And I can tell this question has really been sitting heavy with you for a long time, so let me try to explain this as compassionately as I can. So technically speaking, not every funeral home or crematory is equipped to accommodate every body size. That's just the truth. They're not. It's just the reality of logistics and equipment, not judgment. A lot of funeral homes don't even have their own crematory on site. They contract out to a larger regional crematory or facilities that have equipment designed to handle higher weight cases. Because when somebody is 600 or 700 pounds, the issue isn't necessarily the cremation chamber itself. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but it's often the width of the body and the logistics of transferring them into the retort, which is the cremation chamber. When someone is lying flat on their back at that size, they can be very broad across the shoulders and torso, and some older or smaller crematories physically cannot accommodate that safely. So facilities will transport them to a larger crematory that has equipment specifically designed for bariatric cases. And honestly, it's very similar to hospitals. Just like hospitals may use bariatric beds, lifts, wheelchairs, or larger MRI equipment, funeral homes and crematories sometimes need bariatric equipment too. And again, it's not about judgment. It's about logistics, safety, staffing, and proper care. And I already know, I can feel it. Someone in the comments is going to say, well, why don't funeral homes just all buy bigger crematories then? Girl, money. These machines are expensive, and larger bariatric retorts are even more expensive because they're bigger, newer, shiny, and built to accommodate modern needs. And realistically, obesity at this scale is a much more modern issue than a lot of the older crematories currently operating were originally designed for. Some funeral homes have had the same retort system for decades. Others don't even own their own crematories at all. Remember, they work with those third-party crematory companies. So when a larger individual passes away, arrangements are simply made with the facility facility that has the proper equipment to accommodate them safely and respectfully. Some funeral homes are located in tiny historic buildings downtown that physically cannot accommodate a large modern crematory expansion. And then there's zoning laws and public opinion, because I promise you there is always an Aunt Mildred somewhere absolutely prepared to attend a city council meeting, furious that a funeral home behind her house for the last 100 years suddenly wants to install a new crematory. And now she's convinced she's going to hear mysterious haunted furnace noises while watering her hydrangeas, which respectfully, that's not how that works. But funeral homes deal with these concerns constantly. And something else people may not realize is that even the cremation containers themselves change depending on the body weight. A lot of families choose simple cremation containers instead of caskets, which are often made from reinforced fiberboard or heavy-duty cardboard material. But once someone reaches a certain weight range, sometimes over 350 pounds or more, depending on the container, those fiberboard cremation containers may no longer be structurally safe on their own. So we may use specifically reinforced containers with solid wood bottoms or pallet-style bases underneath for additional support during transport and cremation. So I'm trying to tell you we use a solid wooden cremation container, because the last thing any of us would ever want is for a container failure for the box to give out during transfer or during loading them into the crematory. That would be absolutely heartbreaking and traumatic for everyone involved. Thankfully, I've personally never experienced that happening, but these are the kinds of logistics funeral professionals have to think about behind the scenes that most people never realize. And at the end of the day, I want you to know your cousin was still cared for. I know he was, because we do this job for a reason, because we want to help people. So I hope this answers your question as gracefully as I could. All right, guys, that's all the time I have for today. I wanted to do one more, but I went on a tangent there. Please keep your morbid questions coming in the comment section below, because honestly, these Q&A portions have become one of my favorite parts of Morbid Monday. And genuinely, thank you for being here. The fact that I get to sit here every week talking about death, decomposition, funerals, weird mortuary science, and all the morbid little things my brain hyperfixates on, and people actually watch it, still blows my mind every single week. So truly, thank you for supporting me, for supporting the channel, and letting me build this weird little morbid community with you guys. Also, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because honestly, that is one of the biggest ways you can support me in this chaotic little adventure we're on together. We're in it together. And now it's time for mango kisses. I'll go get her.
Yeah, that was crazy. You're right. And they were, I mean, she had what, 5,000 guys? And that's crazy. Me neither. Right? I tried opening those slides, it wouldn't let me open them. I pushed on them and everything, and it just said, what did it say? Something in edit. What is it? Oh, okay. That's what happens. That's exactly what happens. Yeah, but you don't see that many on Ferris wheels, though. Okay, roller coasters now are bad. Oh well, that's you know what? That's a good idea not to. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can go over to my YouTube and find something. Okay, pull your fluff up. Yeah, and then I'll go over there right now. Uh-huh.
A lo que yo vine fue a esto.
Dramatic.
This is how we use cornstarch to make our cream molds.
We're adding crushed up Oreos to our cream kit. Just for the fuck of it.
Boy, that's some fancy ass equipment, you know it? All right, let's see, grab the share. All right. All right, so where did it go? It was just right here. Right there it is.
Heart. But tonight was different.
Is it showing?
About 20 minutes in, the train didn't stop once. 30 minutes, 40 minutes. The train just kept going, and Hasumi was getting nervous.
What?
Finally, 90 minutes later, the train stopped. Hasumi got off at Kisaragi Station.
I started it at the beginning.
Hasumi was confused. She never
can't
heard of
believe how I did
Kisaragi
it,
Station.
Well,
That's because it doesn't exist.
Ewan, don't drink that. Don't drink anything. Nothing is real.
What?
Listen, I've been up 31 hours. Virgil's been transcribing my notes. We had to stop after 17 pages when his carpal claw kicked in. Reality is a simulation, and I have proof.
Is this a Blorpus thing?
This is a science thing. Our world is a poorly rendered knockoff of the premium universe running underneath it. We're in the Timu universe. Think about it. The graphics here are meh. The lore is thin. There's no magic system. And the character design, ugh.
Here we go.
It's deeply, deeply uninspired.
You think people have bad character design? Have you seen yourself? You're a talking goldfish.
My design is flawless. Have you seen people, Ewan? They're vaguely oval, limbs just kind of attached. Whoever built this place shipped it without a proper QA/QC sprint.
Fine. What does the real universe look like?
Yeah, according to my notes, let me see. Ancient kingdoms, warring factions, champions forged from dark magic, and centuries of conflict. A dark power waking up in the mistwood after lying dormant for years. Boss fights, dungeons, a PvP mode that actually matters. AAA graphics, an entire realm on the edge of total corruption. Laser strategy you can spend a lifetime.
You're describing Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, the Beaver Brothers have been playing it for a week.
Wait, they've been living in base reality this whole time and they didn't tell me?
Well, they made me promise. They wanted to level up their clan before you found out.
Why, those filthy, shifty little rodents. Hang on. Did you just simulate today's sponsor?
I sure did. Raid Shadow Legends is a hit RPG hero collector played by millions worldwide on mobile, PC, and Mac. It features PvP battles, fantasy champions, and a massive campaign packed with lore, boss fights, and strategy. Raid just launched their newest global event, Web of Corruption. Log in 7 days before July 31st during the Valorant Chase, and you'll earn the brand new legendary champion Valorant the Equalizer completely free. Then log in for another 7 days to unlock extra gear and upgrades. Valorant hits entire groups, ignores enemy defense, and keeps your team alive with powerful buffs and debuffs. And as part of the event, take on Rala the Mourned in the limited time event dungeon to earn pinpoint gear and other rewards. New players who download Raid using our link
Email. Oh, I need to tell Gertie.
Tell her what?
That the life we built together, it's real. The house is real.
My house.
The relationship is real.
And concerning.
The intimacy is real.
Please don't.
Which means, the disappointment is also real. And there's no patch coming.
Hasumi documented the bizarre train ride in real time. She logged into 2channel, the biggest message board in Japan. She opened a thread in a channel where people share strange stories, and she was living one. But her early messages were calm and polite. The way you talk if something weird was happening, but you were sure there was a normal explanation. So she laid out the story, post by post, as it happened.
Has anyone heard anything about the Hamamatsu train? Did they switch it to an express train? It's not stopping at any stations.
Users responded quickly. It was late, but this is the kind of message board that comes alive at night. Hasumi wrote about the train not stopping at stations, like it was an express train. But this line had no express, and Hasumi wasn't alone. There were 5 other people on the train, but something felt off. They were all asleep, but not the way commuters doze off. When you fall asleep on a train or a plane, your head kind of just hangs. When you hit a bump, you snap up for a second and then drift off again. They weren't doing this. Those people were out, almost like they were sedated. Hasumi expected someone to wake up and be as confused as she was, but nobody did the entire time.
Nobody on this train is awake except me. I don't know how anyone could sleep on a train. And they are sleeping really hard. I had to check that they were actually breathing.
Hasumi was still calm and joking with people on the message board, but it was getting late and she was getting a little worried. People told her to check with the conductor. That was a good idea. She walked to the front of the car, but the window of the driver's cab was covered. The blinds were closed from the inside. She knocked on the window, politely at first, then harder and harder till she was banging on it. Either the conductor was ignoring her or nobody was driving this train. She couldn't decide which was worse. She went back to her seat and told everybody what happened. The joking stopped. Then the train entered a tunnel. There was no tunnel on her commute, not anywhere. And this tunnel went on for a long time. Too long. When the train finally came out of the tunnel, it started to slow down. Her commute is supposed to be 33 minutes with stops. This was a 90-minute ride with only one stop, this one. She got out, but nobody else did. The doors closed, and the train with the 5 sedated passengers pulled away. Her phone buzzed. The message board was going crazy. People wanted to know where she was. She found the name on a sign and sent it to the message board. Kisaragi. A few minutes later, someone replied, "Oh no."
Hey, have you been researching dental implants? Did you know you can now get permanent teeth in just 24 hours? With most traditional dental...
The station was deserted and looked old. An empty Japanese train station was weird enough, but there were no ticket machines, no timetable, no phones. The area didn't look familiar at all. There wasn't a single house in sight, and it was too quiet. She could see hills far in the distance, but everything was dark. The light at the platform was the only light for miles. She checked the message board again. The internet loves a puzzle, so people went to work. But nobody could find any information about Kisaragi Station. Hasumi searched too. Same result.
I've been searching the web and I can't find anything called Kisaragi. If anyone knows where I am, please post right away.
There is no, and there has never been, a station named Kisaragi on this train or any train line in the entire country. And it wasn't just a few people searching. Hundreds of people were now in the thread trying to find her. Then came the speculation. She got on the wrong train. Unlikely. There's only one train out of Shin Hamamatsu, and she was on it. Some said maybe she's in an alternate reality, or maybe in some type of purgatory or liminal space. It certainly felt like it. Then a message shut down a lot of theories. Someone asked, if she slipped into some different reality, how has she been posting the whole time? It's the same internet, the same people since the beginning of the thread. And even though she was in the middle of nowhere, she had cell service. And that message reminded Hasumi to do the obvious. She called her parents. They picked up right away. She told them the story, and they came to the same conclusion. There was no such place as Kisaragi Station. Her father told her to call the police, and she did. The police were cooperative at first. They couldn't find Kisaragi Station either, and if they couldn't find it, it didn't exist. The policeman said it was against the law to prank call the police. Hasumi apologized and hung up. Her phone was full of lifelines. Her parents were awake and ready to help. The police picked up on the first ring, and hundreds of people online were trying to find her. But all of them were useless, because the station, the hills, the ground underneath her feet, none of it existed. Then, just before 2 in the morning, she heard the drums.
My Lord.
The deep sound of taiko drums was coming from somewhere. And also the ringing of bells, festival sounds. But it was 2 in the morning in the middle of January. There was no festival. And even if there were, she couldn't pinpoint the direction of the sounds. They were far away, that's all she knew. So she waited and waited and waited. Maybe another train would come along, but none did. But Asumi was still calm and made a practical choice. Follow the tracks. Train tracks connect stations. The next one might be far away, but it would be there eventually. Hopefully. She started walking, listening to the drums, and posting messages the whole time.
Okay, I've been walking for like an hour, and I swear someone is following me or watching me, but I don't want to turn around.
Dozens of people typed back at her in real time. Keep moving. She did, but she couldn't shake the feeling. Then she heard a voice yelling behind her to get off the tracks, they're dangerous. She turned around expecting to see a station worker, but it was an old man about 30 feet away with crutches standing on one leg. She was about to reply, and then he was gone. He didn't walk away, he was just gone. Then the message board stopped giving advice and started giving orders. Don't go back to that station. Run, and run as fast as you can. But there was a tunnel ahead, and it was dark, but she had no choice. This is the only direction. So she went in and started walking. Somewhere in the dark, she fell and cut herself. She didn't know how bad. She couldn't see a thing. She was using her phone as a light. She got up and kept moving. When she finally got to the end of the tunnel, she saw lights, headlights, a car. There was a man standing by the car waiting, like he knew she was coming. He said she was a long way from anywhere and offered to drive her to the next station. She was bleeding, exhausted, and it was the middle of the night. She got in the car.
My Lord.
The message board did not like this idea, but she told him he seemed okay. He was weird, but okay. He chatted with her for a while, small talk mostly, but then he got quiet.
He hasn't said a word in like 20 minutes. He's just staring out the window driving. He promised to drop me off at the next town. I'll keep checking in.
The message board was in full panic. They were asking her to describe him, describe the car, describe the area, and she did all of that. And she said there was a town right up ahead, and she was looking forward to getting home. It was almost 3:30 in the morning. Then the car passed the exit for the town and headed into the mountains. The man started muttering to himself. Asumi couldn't hear what he was saying, but she sent a message to the board.
My battery's almost run out. Things are getting strange, so I think I'm going to make a run for it. He's been talking to himself about bizarre things for a while now. To prepare for just the right time, I'm going to make this my last post for now.
She sent that at 3:44 a.m. and never posted again.
If you got hit, even if you were not driving, you need to try this.
At 3:44 a.m. on January 9th, 2004, Hasumi sent her final message. But the thread stayed open for her. Strangers who watched the night unfold kept refreshing the page, hoping for an update. People kept checking in to see if she made it home. The thread never answered. No rescue, no body, no ending. A woman narrated her own disappearance in real time to a public message board, and the last anyone heard from her was she was promising to run. The thread is still online. You could read every message and watch the timestamps. I did, and it's creepy. From the first post at 11:14 to the last at 3:44, and it reads exactly the way I told it. The train she boarded is real, and it runs about half an hour from Shin Hamamatsu to its final stop. Hasumi rode it for more than an hour, and there's never been a station called Kisaragi anywhere on that line, or anywhere. For 18 years, people analyzed the story. They timed the train stop by stop. They compared timestamps. They tracked IP addresses. Every lead was a dead end. Hasumi was gone and there was no way to find her. But the story wouldn't go away. In 2022, it became a horror movie. And when the movie came out, one of the stations on that same line was temporarily named Kisaragi. They printed real physical tickets with Kisaragi Station as the destination. They sold out in an hour. In 2004, a young woman spent 4 hours begging strangers for one thing: a way home from Kisaragi Station. She called her parents, she called the police, she walked into a tunnel, she got in a car with a stranger. She did everything she could to find her way out. 18 years later, people lined up to buy their way in. Gather round. This happened in 2005. A 1-minute video appeared on YouTube. A man sat alone at a table in a bare white room with no windows, and a black bar covered his eyes. He held an oversized spoon and ate soup from a bowl. And he cried. Not soft tears, deep, full-body sobs that shook his shoulders and made his hands tremble. He kept lifting the spoon to his mouth like he couldn't stop, like someone off camera forced him. And then 2 figures walked in behind him wearing giant mascot heads. Their faces were white with black circle eyes and wide frozen grins. And they rubbed his back, slowly, gently, but he cried harder. The video was called Freaky Soup Guy. Millions of people watched it, and a lot of them believed it was that man's last meal.
Good Lord.
The internet thought it was a snuff film. This was November of 2005, and YouTube was less than a year old. There were no algorithms, no trending pages, no fact checkers. Videos spread the old way, from one person to another, usually with a warning attached. Don't watch this alone. Within weeks, forums exploded with theories. The crying man was a kidnapped victim. The soup was poisoned. The mascot figures were his captors, and the back rubs were mockery. People said the video leaked from the deep web, something dark that surfaced on YouTube by accident. Some claimed the soup was made from someone he loved, and when he finished the bowl, the men in the suits would finish the job. Those figures were the only lead. Identify them and you identify the men in that room. So people dug, and the costumes turned up fast. The characters were called Ray Ray, and they weren't hiding or obscure. Ray Ray performed in underground clubs all over Los Angeles with a group that came out of Burning Man in 1998. The group mixed musicians, fire performers, and aerial artists into strange, uncomfortable shows. Audiences squirmed, laughed, and came back the next week. And Ray Ray had a creator. His name was Raymond Percy. And that name might not ring a bell, but you've heard his voice. Percy voiced Flash the Sloth in Zootopia, the sloth at the DMV window. Flash, Flash, 100-yard dash. He spent years directing The Simpsons, and one of his episodes won an Emmy. Today he makes peanut specials for Apple TV+. One of the most successful animators in Hollywood created the figures in the most disturbing video on the internet. Percy sketched Ray Ray in a notebook, and the sketches were of himself. He took his own face and stripped it down to a white mask with black hole eyes, dark plastic hair, and a grin that was too wide. He said the character came from a mix of inhibition, a sense of alienation, and a deep-seated need for entertainment. A special effects artist turned the sketches into wearable costumes with oversized heads, white plastic hands, and full black clothing underneath. The proportions were wrong on purpose. The head was too big, the eyes were too empty, and Ray Ray looked like a cartoon drawn by someone who was never happy. Those grinning figures in the soup video wear the artist's own face. For 10 years, the video sat there while views piled up, and so did the theories. Then YouTuber Rainbot tracked Percy down through Tumblr in 2015, and he wrote back. His story went like this. The Ray Ray costumes were stolen after a show at the Key Club on the Sunset Strip. The dressing room that night was an old RV parked in the alley behind the club, and the door didn't lock. When the group came back after the show, the costumes were gone. A few weeks later, an anonymous email landed in his box with a video attached, and Percy pressed play and watched strangers wear his stolen creation while they filmed what looked like torture. And here's the part that stuck with him. Whoever wore those suits moved exactly the way they should. The tilt of the head, the slow, gentle hands. They knew Ray Ray's body language, like they built him. And Percy said there were more videos, not just one. And the internet accepted the whole story because a theft explained everything. Strangers stole an artist's work and twisted it. Case closed. Then somebody checked the account that put Freaky Soup Guy on YouTube back in 2005. The account that uploaded it on day one. That account was called Renaissance Men. And Renaissance Men belonged to someone we knew. It belonged to Raymond Percy. The proof was on the Wayback Machine. A 2008 snapshot of the Renaissance Men homepage included a link to a Ray Ray MySpace page, and the username displayed on that page was Raymond Percy. The rest of the channel read like Percy's personal blog, promos for Simpsons episodes he worked on, a music video he directed. The victim of the theft uploaded the video himself, and Percy never denied it. His explanation when it finally came was that he posted the video to share it with his group. Fine. Now, read the descriptions. YouTube was just the start. Percy put the video on MetaCafe and on Dailymotion through channels he ran under the name Ray Ray TV. On those uploads, he wrote a description, a clip of people who look like us doing something to someone that we would never do. We promise. That's written from Ray Ray's point of view, not from a man reporting a stolen costume, from the characters themselves playing innocent, with Ray Ray denying involvement in a video that Ray Ray stars in. The YouTube description was simpler. We don't know what this is. Not one description mentions stolen costumes, and not one asks for help finding them. 3 platforms, every description in character, and all of them uploaded by Percy. And there was a second video. Same room, same crying man, same Ray Ray figures. This time, one of them charged at the man while he screamed. Percy uploaded that one to the other channels too, under a new title, Soup Torture. The video's description was, "What's happening in this clip, and why do these people look like us?" The trail even has a ghost in it. A YouTube account called Adana with no history, no uploads, and the soup video as its profile picture. And a year after uploading Freaky Soup Guy, Percy stood on a stage and accepted an Emmy for directing The Simpsons. A third video showed a Ray Ray figure dragging a rope-tied man through a backyard at night. The bound man wore glasses and a hat, and he looked like Gil Sharon. Sharon became one of the most respected drummers in rock. He played for the Dillinger Escape Plan and spent years behind the kit for Marilyn Manson. But in 2005, Sharon played drums in Stolen Babies, and the lead singer of Stolen Babies was Dominique Lenore Percy, Raymond Percy's sister. The band and the costumes came from the same family. Stolen Babies grew out of a high school performance troupe, and the skit that gave the band its name was written by Dominique and her older brother Raymond. The theft never stopped Ray Ray either. The group had spare costumes made, and Ray Ray showed up in Stolen Babies' 2006 music video. Same costumes, same dead-eyed grins. The same obscure art project showed up twice in 12 months, in front of 2 completely different audiences. One went out through normal music channels. One landed in the darkest corner of early internet culture, made for people who stayed up too late clicking on things they probably shouldn't. Percy told Rainbot he had no idea the video went viral, even though by 2015 it had millions of views. He ran RayRayWorld.com. He ran RayRayLand.com. He had RayRayville on MySpace, and RayRayVision and RayRayTV on YouTube. The man built an entire online world around this character, and he said he didn't notice when one of his uploads became a global phenomenon. Okay.
Millionaire in your family? Here are my 3 best tips to help you achieve it. Number 1, if you have a phone and internet, that's all you need to make your first 20 to 30.
There's no record of a police report about the stolen costumes. No insurance claim, no public appeal for their return. The only record of any theft is a message to a YouTuber sent 10 years after the fact. Then, in 2016, the story cracked open again. An anonymous poster claimed contact with the thief. According to the post, the man who stole the costumes was a hacker who made the videos as an art statement, something about freeing Ray Ray from the corruption of money. And the hacker claimed one more thing. Rainbot never spoke to Raymond Percy at all. The hacker was inside Percy's accounts the whole time, reading his email and answering as him. If that's true, the theft story came from someone wearing Percy's identity the same way they wore his costumes. The post said the hacker went silent in early 2017, and nobody verified a word of it. So the mystery ate its own solution. Either Percy ran the whole thing from the beginning, or a thief stole his costumes, filmed those videos, hijacked his accounts, and spent a decade answering the world's questions in his name. Nobody's ever proven Percy wore the suits in that room, but nobody's ever proven he didn't. Percy never made another public statement about Black Room Soup. He kept working. Disney movies, cartoons for kids, and the video is still on YouTube with over 900,000 views on the original upload alone and millions across re-uploads and reaction videos. For 20 years, people have slowed it down frame by frame. They isolated the audio and listened for a voice off camera. They zoomed in on shadows, hundreds of forum threads, dozens of explainers, and nobody found the answer because the video never gives one. But Percy told Rainbot one more thing. Over the years, people kept sending him videos, more Ray Ray footage, doing all sorts of things. He never posted any of it, and never said how many videos there were or what was in them. They're still out there somewhere. The crying man never came forward. His face stayed hidden in every video. Some viewers thought the man looked like Percy himself, but no one confirmed it and no one denied it. Nobody's friend, nobody's brother, nobody's coworker, just a man who doesn't exist outside those videos. Whoever he is, he never said a word. He just cried. And the man behind the black bar is still at that table. He still lifts the spoon, he still cries. The hands still rub his back, slowly and gently. 1 minute, beginning to end, for anyone who presses play. 20 years now, and he never gets to finish the soup. Gather round. This happened in 2018. A woman sat in front of a camera with 11 pounds of raw salmon. A blue mask covered everything above her mouth. No name, no face. She whispered 2 words. Then she started eating.
Oh, good.
The channel was Kate Yup. And over the next year and a half, she posted around 30 videos. Expensive seafood, a blank beige wall, silence except the sound of chewing. Then someone turned up the audio on that first video, and under the crunching, a man's voice whispered into the microphone. The woman behind the mask was never alone. Mukbang started in South Korea around 2010. The word means eating broadcast. People filmed themselves working through huge meals while an audience watched in real time. Some came for the ASMR sounds, The crack of lobster shells, the snap of crab legs. Some came because they ate dinner alone, and a stranger eating on a screen felt like company. Kate Yup fit the formula. King crab worth hundreds of dollars, whole lobster tails, giant shrimp still in their shells. She tore through all of it with bare hands while the microphone caught every sound. The crack of a claw, the wet pull of meat off bone. Her captions stayed cheerful. So delicious. I love this crab. Thank you for watching. But something was wrong. Kate was thin in a way that scared people. You can see her collarbones through her clothes. And she ate fast. Too fast. She shoved food in, barely chewing, grabbing the next piece before she finished the last. And the room never changed. Every video, the same beige wall. No windows, no decorations, no bookshelf, no poster. Nothing to show where she was or what time it was. There was no clock, no windows, no daylight. No way to tell a Tuesday from a Sunday or noon from midnight. Most mukbang creators film in kitchens or restaurants. Kate filmed in front of a wall that could have been anywhere. A room built to show nothing. It felt intentional. Around the 6th or 7th video, the bruises showed up. Deep purple marks on her arms. The kind fingers leave when they grab you too hard. In one video, her lip was split and swollen. She said it was a cold sore. In another video, she had dark lines around her wrists. Viewers stripped out the chewing and turned up the background noise. They heard a man's voice, giving orders. Just eat. Swallow. Faster. In one video, someone whispered, "I kill you." The word came through clear, even under the sound of chewing. In another video, the table jolted, kicked from off camera the moment Kate slowed down. A dish of food slid toward her. A hand pushed it from off camera. Footsteps came toward the microphone, then backed away. Someone else was in that room, and they did not want to be seen. Then it got stranger. Kate's profile photo wasn't her. It was a stock photo of a random woman eating fries. Nothing about her connected to anything outside those videos. She existed only inside that room in front of that wall. But the channel kept growing. 100,000 subscribers, 200,000. The bruises kept showing up. The woman in the mask kept getting thinner. Then people noticed something disturbing. She was hiding messages in her video descriptions.
Oh, Lord.
You're about to lose $50,000 for your car accident because you don't know this one trick. Check this out. I'm an attorney. I've been doing this for years. And I'm standing here because most people...
In August 2019, Kate posted a video called "I Am Alive." She used the captions to answer the growing panic. The first letter of each line spelled H-E-L-P. Hey, I'm still alive, my friends. Everything is okay for me. Look at me. Are you really thinking I am forced to eat? Prawn, just smaller than giant shrimps. You don't spell help by accident with the first letter of 4 sentences. Not in a video called "I Am Alive." In other videos, capital letters dropped into the middle of normal sentences, spelled SOS. The meat is capital S, so delicious, capital O, capital S. In another, they spelled call 911. 4 separate videos carried hidden words. Then a viewer noticed Kate tapping on the side of her dipping bowl in a rhythm that matched Morse code. That comment shot to the top of every video on the channel. Kate pinned a reply denying it. But those words weren't hers. Someone found an English denial on Reddit and pasted it in word for word. She answered other theories too. When people asked about the mask, whoever was responding for the channel said it was to hide a nose deformity. She had scars from cold sore blisters. When people brought up the tapping, the channel, whoever that was, denied it. But the signs got worse. In 2 separate videos, Kate reached into her mouth and pulled out a broken tooth. She didn't stop eating. She didn't flinch. She kept eating with blood around her gums while the caption said everything was fine. Viewers called the FBI. They called the police across California. They filed missing persons reports and launched a petition that pulled in thousands of signatures. 1 million people watched and waited for someone to kick down a door. Nobody came. With no name, there was nothing to open a file on. With no face, there was no one to look for. With no address, there was no door to find. The mask didn't just hide Kate from the audience, it hid her from everyone trying to save her. And one detail pointed somewhere darker. In several videos, a toothbrush was taped to her wrist. Not on the table, taped to her body. People didn't want to think about why. People couldn't tell if this was a hoax or real, but they couldn't look away. On November 10th, 2019, Kate posted her last video. Another tooth came loose during the meal. Her final caption read, "Oh my God, I can die in peace after this bite." And then she was gone.
God.
3 years passed and nothing. No uploads, no posts, no sign that Kate Yupp existed anywhere on Earth. The petition stalled. The reports closed. The 1 million people who watched her drifted off to the next mystery. Then, on October 7th, 2022, a new video appeared. Raw salmon, Japanese food. The caption said she was fine and she was alone in that room. It also said, "Stop spreading kidnapping rumors." But viewers noticed things. Her jawline was wider. Her skin tone was different. The way she held her food, the angle of her wrists, just small details that didn't line up with the older videos. Nobody could confirm it was the same woman. And if it wasn't, then someone else had the account, and the password, and the exact same setup, and they wanted the world to stop looking. She posted nothing after that. No replies, no proof of life. The channel went quiet again. The internet kept hunting. One theory thought she was a Polish UFC fighter. The bruises fit, the covered face kind of fit, but that theory didn't hold up. The two women had different moles on their necks, and the fighter's own Instagram showed different injuries. And Kate had a tattoo the fighter didn't. On Kate's wrist was a small heart looped through an infinity sign. That tattoo means something. Some people use that symbol to mean polyamory. To a few viewers, that turned the whole story inside out. The bruises, the voice off camera, the orders. Maybe none of it was kidnapping. Maybe it was a lifestyle choice. Another theory tied her to a teenager who vanished in California, but that one fell apart too. Kate's channel posted for months before that girl disappeared. Every lead went cold. Every theory hit a wall. No missing persons report ever matched her. No police department ever opened a case. Her real name is unknown. Her face is unknown, and her location is unknown. The first video's description was French. The account said United States. She covered her face in every frame she ever filmed. The mask did its job better than any disguise in internet history. A woman broadcast herself to millions of people, and not one of them could tell you her name. Today, the channel has more than 1.7 million subscribers. Most of them arrived after she vanished. The videos still run ads, and the ads still pay. A few $100s a month, maybe more, but they pay every month, and someone is cashing the checks. A frozen channel about a woman nobody can find still earns money. That gives someone a reason to never let the truth out. Somewhere, someone still logs into that account. Every month, they collect the money. And every day, the algorithm shows her videos to somebody new. Somebody who turns up the volume, leans in close, and hears the voice for the very first time. Just eat.
God.
Thank you so much for hanging out today. My name is AJ. This is the Y-Files, and that was a campfire story.
Oh, I know they are. Oh, funny. Uh-huh.
That's so cute. Oh.
It is so cute. Oh, really? Oh, go to bed. Good Lord. What do you mean? I said, what do you mean running into a wall?
Land on the free, just remember. Guys, children is not for sale. You better think twice before you cross that line. Guys, children is not for sale. And you've been born for the last time. And far away, this is the sound of freedom. Shit on me, ain't entertaining your stupidity. Living and living, you can live just like you wanna be in a whole world of brave and the land of the free. Just remember your freedom ends once you infringe upon my liberty. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It makes the fact you deny really hard to dispute. Take my advice, better think twice, touch it forbidden fruit. You'll end up like Sonny Corleone outside of Coneon and Tobu. We're gonna for real man. I bet you didn't know he puts the dick in dictator. The hate inside the hater, research your brain there. Jerk off, he's a master man. Like Vinny or Chin, he's a faker. Like Benedict Arnold, he's a traitor. He mess with the road man coming down that iconic escalator. False flags, gun grabs, way too many body bags with COVID-19 printed inside each and every toe tag. Pedophiles, juvenile Swiss sisters, just in jail with the ruling class. Sick and fast, and jump quicksand. We're calling for real men to protect the women and children. We're calling for real men to defend the women and children. Guys, children is not for sale. You better think twice before you cross that line. Guys, children is not for sale. Hey, you Now tell me this, are you feeling empowered, keeping quiet or getting louder? You got the courage of a lion, the soul of a coward. Only one question matters in this last final hour. Will you obey your liberal master or bring the gunpowder? Oh, let's not pretend now. Pedophilia's not a thing now. I don't care who I offend now. All those lives they're damaging now. Too many children are vanishing now. Victims of sex trafficking now. Hear the innocent voices sing out loud. That's the sound of freedom ringing out loud. We're calling for real men. We're calling for real men. To defend the women and children. Guys, to live not for sale. Better think twice before you cross that line. Guys, to live not for sale. And to be born for the last time. Guys, to live not for sale. We don't take kind to pedophile. Guys, to live not for sale. And you've been born for the last time. Guys, to live not for sale. You better think twice before you cross that line. Guys, to live not for sale. And you've been born for the last time. Guys, to live not for sale. Get those thoughts out of your mind. Guys, to live not for sale. You've been born for the last time. This is the sound of
I've never seen that. Yeah, I didn't figure that. Yeah, no kidding. I don't think so. I've seen that in your list. I've seen that on your slide list thing. Got a picture of it, but I couldn't open it. Well, you're picking the wrong slides. Okay, that's, yes, I seen that one. But you'll have to go down a minute for watchers. And see, I couldn't open, yeah, see, I couldn't open them. Yeah. That's I'm sure it'll be good. It's good, Sam. I think it is. But that's just me.
Strange and mysterious lights hovering above East El Paso tonight. It looked like a UFO.
The picture's not clear.
I pray.
Yeah. Okay.
Yahweh, that you sent a sighting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
These are genuine UFOs in the sense that no one's ever been able to explain what they are, but they happen. They're not faked.
I never, ever in a million years would have believed in UFOs if I'd not seen it with my own eyes.
Mazuli.
What is your opinion of these lights in the sky, or UFOs?
Why is it that Belgium, Mexico, the UK have recently released what were at one time top secret classified documents to the public, discussing and talking and revealing the presence of so-called extraterrestrial objects in our airspace?
75, Sirius is performing quite well.
If we only had 1 or 2 sightings per year, I wouldn't be talking about this. But I'll give you an example. In 1950, the year I was born, there was 1 sighting reported in the month of December. Fast forward to 2008, and we now have over 350 sightings all over the world. Can we at least agree that we may differ as to what is the cause of the phenomena? We can agree that UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away.
We were driving home, minding our own business, certainly not looking for UFOs. My wife was driving, I'm in the passenger seat. She looks up and she goes, "Wow, what's that?" I go, "What?" She goes, "There." I look up, and sure enough, through the windshield, this large, very powerful light. First I thought it was an airplane coming at us, because when a plane comes right at you, you see that headlight, and it's very easily mistaken for an unidentified flying object. This thing didn't move, and my wife had to take her eyes off it, but she was driving. But I kept my eyes trained on it, and I began to notice that there were no blinking lights, that the thing moved. Well, after watching it for about a minute, a second light appears and slowly descends into the main light, and then the main light disintegrates in concentric circles. Well, that is something that is anomalous. I think we can agree on that. Was it a craft from another dimension or another solar system or galaxy? I have no idea. I can't say what it was. All I can tell you that it was an anomalous light. This kind of sighting has been reported for decades now all across the globe. We're also seeing what I would consider nuts and bolts craft, and I realize there are people who disagree with this particular theory or concept or position, but I believe that these craft are real. They are made in another dimension, and they are used to travel between this dimension and the second heaven, or this other dimension that these entities really reside in. Some of these craft are enormous. For instance, in 2007 over the English Channel, mile-wide craft were seen by 2 different pilots, as well as that same craft being shown on radars. Look, if it was 1 or 2 sightings per month, we wouldn't be discussing this, but it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds per month. And now when we look at the whole scope of ufology and realizing that this phenomena is not going away, way. It's time to sort of cast off the shackles of ridicule and fear and examine this thing head on and decide what paradigm works the best to explain the phenomenon.
What factual proof is there of UFOs?
People are always going, where's the hardcore evidence? Where's the facts behind the whole ufology? Well, some of this is really being obfuscated and deliberately obfuscated by the governments of the world. We know that certain countries like Mexico, France, Japan, Brazil, the UK, and Belgium all have released what were at one time classified documents and now released that to the public, stating that this stuff is real.
Can you give an example?
Edgar Mitchell, a former Apollo astronaut, went on the record on Kerrang Radio. And after he sort of announced it on Kerrang Radio several years back, I saw him again on the Fox News channel with Sean Hannity on a sit-down one-on-one. And Edgar Mitchell's basically stating, look, Roswell was real. There was a crash and bodies that were recovered from Roswell, and our government covered it up.
Yes, there's not much question at all. But there's life throughout the universe. We're not alone in the universe at all.
You're convinced that we're not alone in the universe?
Oh, I know for sure we're not alone in the universe. And I happen to be privileged enough to have be in on the fact that we have been visited on this planet. And the UFO phenomenon is real, although it's been covered up by our governments for quite a long time. It is a real phenomenon. And there's quite a few of us that it's been well covered up by all of our governments for the last 60 years or so. But slowly it's leaked out, and some of us are privileged to have been briefed on some of it. But I've also been in military circles and intelligence circles that knows beneath the surface of what has been public knowledge that, yes, we have been visited.
He believes that, like I do, that there is a cover-up. We just have a discrepancy in our world's view as to what's behind the phenomena. Again, he's extraterrestrial. I'm interdimensional, and specifically the fallen ones, fallen angels, which we read about back in Genesis 6, once again manifesting on the earth. So there is evidence. There's plenty of evidence. We've got the witnesses, hundreds, thousands of witnesses who have come on the record.
Are people interacting with UFOs now?
There's a guy in Vegas. His name is Prophet Yahweh. I've actually interviewed him. And his big claim to fame is one particular time he was able to summon a light in the sky, a craft, a UFO.
We met up with Prophet Yahweh, seer of Yahweh, at Doolittle Park off Lake Mead. We picked the day, we picked the time, and we picked the location. So we took him up on his offer, and we scanned the skies. Nothing but a few clouds. When the prophet started praying for a sighting, I wasn't exactly convinced.
I pray, oh Yahweh, that you send a sighting so that they know that I am not mentally ill. I am not a false prophet, like those who seek to kill me say I am.
I see something straight up.
Oh, brother, look at it. There it is.
You can barely see it, a white speck. Then another sighting.
There it is. I got it.
Photojournalist Jonathan Hawkins locks in on it. Let's take a closer look here. It's an orange sphere that appeared out of nowhere. I call the boss with an unexpected change in my story. I can see it clear as day. In fact, it's bright.
I can't believe this.
It's moving pretty fast.
It's going to Nellis Air Force Base. It wants to be seen.
We called Nellis to see what these things might be. Guess what? They didn't call us back. But this thing started coming back toward us. It's coming toward us now, I think.
What?
See, it's coming up toward us.
Whoa, man! Oh, hallelujah!
Then, a few seconds later, it disappeared.
It's going back up in space.
Prophet Yahweh isn't concerned. He says it'll be back.
And the camera people were just stunned. They were shocked. They couldn't believe it. This, of course, made national, international news and put Prophet Yahweh on the map. Just recently, there was an article, and I love the way they released this stuff after everyone's dead and there's no way to vet the story. Talked about Churchill and Eisenhower, and apparently Churchill knew of an encounter with a disc and a plane and put the kibosh on it, and both he and Eisenhower got together and said, nope, can't let this story go out. It's going to cause mass panic in the population, and it will make people leave or lose their religious beliefs. And so You know, this happens decades after the fact. There's no way to call up Churchill or Eisenhower and ask them to vet the story. They're dead, as of most of the witnesses are dead. It's one of those stories that comes out from time to time that hints at a deliberate obfuscation of the facts, not only by our government, but certainly the UK and other governments of the world.
What is going on at ESETI Ranch?
We know that another dimension may exist. We know this from string theory, from quantum physics. We know that from Einstein's equation that nothing can actually approach the speed of light. What happens after that?
Jane, what did you see at the ESETI Ranch?
A UFO highway. Some were huge, some were small, some were green lights, some were red lights, some were yellow lights. I also saw fairies. Fairies are real. People, look at cute fairies in books and whatnot, and they are malevolent. The biggest one I saw was like 12 inches. The noise was unbelievable from these little things. I have some pictures that are so clear you can almost see their toes.
What are orbs?
What we're seeing up in ESETI Ranch, and certainly other places, people are seeing these orbs. It's a global phenomenon. The question is, what are these orbs? And what is the source behind these orbs? And I find it very troubling that certain circles are embracing these orbs as something that's benevolent. They're in crop circles, above crop circles. It's a global phenomenon. People see them in the sky. Jaime Maussan's photograph of the Mexican UFO flap that happened in Mexico, where hundreds of these orbs are seen in the sky. They appear all over. It's a global phenomenon. In the United States, people see and record orbs. What are they? We're living in the age of deception. We can be so easily deceived. These orbs appear as balls of light. It's a global phenomenon. When the orbs come in, they'll come as different colors. They appear and disappear. They kind of flit in and out of dimensions, as it were. First they're there, then they're not there. Sometimes we see from these very bright orbs in daylight, very large orbs, we see other orbs coming and emanating from them, which then come back into them. Very, very bizarre, strange phenomena. What we need to understand and come to grips with is just because I have a supernatural experience, just because I see orbs or something manifests like a UFO, or an entity begins to communicate with me telepathically, that doesn't mean it's a good thing. And it certainly doesn't mean we should embrace it. In my research, which has been going on for basically 30 years, I have discovered that people who have experienced this type of supernatural manifestation, whether it's telepathic communication by so-called extraterrestrial entities or the manifestation of orbs, there's always a doorway open into the supernatural. They have engaged in some sort of illicit behavior. You can only test the spirit or spirits, what's coming at you, from a standpoint of you haven't opened yourself up by illicit means to some sort of communication from interdimensional beings. Let me say that again a little simpler, perhaps. If we engage in necromancy, we've already crossed the line. There's no way to test the spirits at that point, in my opinion. However, if we have an experience, let's say, we're not engaged in mediumship or necromancy or fortune teller or Ouija boards or familiar spirits or talking of the dead, any of this stuff. We're not engaged, we're just walking along, and we have a vision, let's say. At that point, we can test a vision. Or if a spirit manifests and appears in the room, at that point, it's very easy to test the spirits. And the Guidebook of the Supernatural tells us and admonishes us to test the spirits, and there are certain ways in which we can do that.
What does the Guidebook of the Supernatural say about these things?
The guidebook is rife with examples of the supernatural manifesting with mankind. And it also warns us of and gives us examples of how to engage, how to disengage, how not to engage, how to let's say fight against some of these adversaries which may come up against us. Yeah, the guidebook is chock full of examples of this kind of fallen angels or even the good angels engaging us. The difference between them, when the fallen ones manifest, okay, it's always fear. It's always a fear-based deal, always fear-based, and it's also sometimes, on the other hand, that we hear about the fallen ones can appear as angels of light. So the angle here is deception, and this is why just because something may appear benevolent, it might not be.
Why do people feel the phenomena is benevolent?
People today have no paradigm, for the most part, on how to deal with anything supernatural. And so when they are pressed with it, when it comes into their realm of reality, they have nothing to grasp, nothing to hold on to, no paradigm in which to embrace this, for the most part. Oftentimes, people will look at the phenomena and just embrace it, just let it in, just believe that, oh, it must be benevolent. And nothing, in my opinion, nothing is more dangerous than that. Look, we've got shows like Ghostbusters that are on. With all due respect to those guys, they're playing with fire. Now, they're protected on some level, but at some point in time, and who knows when that's going to be, they're going to cross the line and something very negative may happen. They're dealing with entities that are extremely powerful and malicious, malevolent, evil entities. And this is the problem. Unless unless a person knows how to test the spirits, knows what they're up against, and understands and realizes that our weapons in which we engage these entities are not carnal. What I mean by that, they're not guns and knives and fists and karate and all this kind of stuff. Our weapons must be of a spiritual nature.
What other phenomena is going on?
There's different aspects of the phenomena. Not only do we have UFO sightings appearing all over the world, but we've got cattle mutilations, human mutilations, crop circles, so-called abductions, the so-called breeding program, and alien implants. Now I realize, if you have never heard or traveled in those subjects before, that can be like, you're kidding me. And yet just a modicum of research will show that the phenomena is real, burgeoning, and not going away. Let's take cattle mutilations. Cattle mutilations have been going on in different parts of the world literally for decades. Specifically, if we go to the Southwest in the United States, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, we see cattle mutilations that go back literally 30, 40 years. Law enforcement has yet to bring one person, to charge one person with a crime. There's a MUFON investigator, his name is Chuck Zukowski. What he has discovered is the cattle, once again, are taken. Different parts of them are excised, removed from the animal with surgical precision. There's no blood left in the cattle or the particular carcass. They're usually dropped in the middle of a field, no footprints. Why that might sound certainly bizarre, what we do have is the animals themselves, the carcasses, the remains. And we also have certain anomalies around the animal. We have where sometimes the grass in the area right around the animal won't grow the same way that the other indigenous plants would be growing just a few feet away. We get spikes in radioactivity. We'll get spikes in electromagnetic frequencies.
It's really pegging here. If this was ghost hunters, I'd say that there was a spirit in there. So we're getting electromagnetic field coming from this area. Is there a tag in the ear? See if it's getting off the radio wave.
Whatever's going on is extremely bizarre. Again, no blood. Tongues are taken, ears, eyes, the jaws are stripped down of flesh. Sex organs are cored out. Anuses are cored out. Udders are stripped and taken. It's incredibly grisly and horrific. The bottom line is this. With all this going on, why dump it back into the rancher's field? Why would anyone do that? Of course, it's deliberate because what it creates is a climate of fear. A man living way out in the country with his family decides to go deer hunting, and he tells his wife he's going to sort of scope out the area, hops on his ATV and says, look, I'll be gone for a couple hours. A couple more hours go by and she finally calls search and rescue. They find the ATV rather quickly. It's where he said he was going, on top of this hill. What's bizarre is no signs of a struggle, no footprints near the ATV. It's been like he's just vanished into thin air. What they do find is his shoe high up in a tree about 50 feet away. How did his shoe get there? 36 hours later, they find his naked body concealed in a thicket near the house. It's been drained of blood. He's like this, with his mouth open and like that. He's obviously terrorized. Next to him is a dead rattlesnake. There's no blood in the dead rattlesnake. The body was removed without a coroner being present. There's the first thing. The second thing is the family is not allowed to view the body. 2 weeks later, the body is returned to the family in a welded steel casket. Cause of death, cocaine overdose. The family, was absolutely taken aback by this because they knew the father, the husband, and there was no drugs involved. So something is going on. Someone, some agency deliberately obfuscated the information, not only from the family, but from investigators who were trying to find out what really happened. And so I believe that some of this is really very much repressed. But we do have two cases, the one in Brazil, graphic photograph and an autopsy report, and the one in Pennsylvania. We need to differentiate between orbs and UFOs. Now, this is just a theory. An orb is not a UFO. It's unidentified, we don't know what it is. But in the classic sense of nuts and bolts, orbs seem to be more ethereal. They seem to be orbs of light and light only. They're not manifesting as nuts and bolts hardware like we have in the classic silver discs that are seen, or classic craft that fly by jets like at 10,000 or 20,000 miles an hour. It's a whole different deal. Orbs are different. When Prophet Yahweh summoned that UFO, I believe it was not a craft, I believe it was an orb. There's a difference there. When we showed photographs of orbs at Isetti Ranch, these are not UFOs. In the sense of classical dish-shaped craft, these are orbs that are floating by. When we showed you different pictures of men and women, and there's orbs around them, something is manifesting, isn't it? But it's not nuts and bolts craft. Something is manifesting, perhaps from another dimension. There are those who would say, well, there's something dirty lenses in the camera or whatever. It's not what we're looking at here. Certainly the Isetti footage would show that, Prophet Yahweh. Obviously, something is manifesting. And so again, I would point to the interdimensional hypothesis as the paradigm that best suits what we're looking at. They flit in and out between this dimension and another dimension. And this is why it's important for us to differentiate between orbs and craft. When that pilot in 2007, two pilots in the English Channel and on radar, and they see a craft which is a mile wide.
The only person who saw this phenomenon,
right.
were you? There were some passengers who saw it, and also another pilot.
Yes.
Simultaneously?
Any object from 50 miles away must have been fairly enormous.
What about a mile long?
It's possible, yeah.
Did it move at all?
It probably didn't move, but I had the great opportunity the other day from Jersey Air Traffic Control of visiting their radar room, and some interesting traces, let's put it that way, from the radar
really?
Indicate that there's a possibility that they did pick up on, from both Guernsey and Jersey radar, traces, spurious traces they call, for around about 55 minutes.
How long did you see it for?
I saw it in total for 12 minutes.
When Ricky Sorrells in Stevensville, Texas, looks up and sees a craft.
This thing, it was above me about 300 foot. The funny thing about it was flat, and I would have expected it to take off at an angle like this, but it didn't. And I was actually watching underneath, and when it took off so fast, if I would have blinked, I would have thought it vanished. But I had my eyes on it, and I know it took off flat at a 45-degree angle.
These are not orbs. This is hardcore craft, and it's used to flit between one dimension and the other. And we also got a preponderance of physical evidence with the craft. We've got landing sites where there's pods in the ground. We've got spikes in radioactivity, spikes in electromagnetic field around certain areas where these craft have come down. And then we've got tens of thousands of witnesses who have literally seen cigar-shaped, triangle, pyramidal, and of course the classic silver disc. What's really interesting is that this phenomena is showing up not only in television and movies and books and novels and popular culture and video games. You pick up a music magazine and all of a sudden you realize that, oh my gosh, they're talking about orbs. They're talking about a psychic or supernatural phenomena. It talks about there were 10 to 12 grown men who experienced these orbs coming into the rooms or whatever, and they were absolutely terrified. The classic abduction scenario is simply this. You're laying in bed with your husband or wife, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You awaken out of a sound sleep. And the first thing you realize and you're aware of is that you're paralyzed and you can't move. The second is you're aware of a presence in the room. Somebody or something is in the room. You start to look around with your eyes and you catch in your peripheral vision these beings, which are about 3 to 4 foot tall. You awaken, they're there. The next thing you realize is you're being levitated off the bed, which defies our physics, by the way. How can they possibly be doing this? You try to scream, find that you can't. You wonder why your husband or wife has not awakened also. And you're then floated through walls, windows, doors, unbelievable stuff. And I realize that from our perspective, it's like, what are we looking at? How can, this is defying and breaking all our laws of physics. And I would certainly agree with that. But again, who's ever doing this has either technology or they're moving in ways that we don't understand yet. So for the benefit of this discussion, the person finds themselves floating through the wall and they're taken aboard some sort of a ship. They find themselves on a metallic table covered with a sheet. Their clothes are removed from them at some point. Then they are surrounded again by more 4-foot grays with the large head and the black almond eyes. And this is what we see happening. These people are taken against their will, and we see that genetic material, eggs and ovum and sperm are taken from these abductees. And again, it goes into some sort of a breeding program, which Dr. Jacobs has researched. When he first got into this, and I interviewed him for my book, The Alien Interviews, he talks about when he realized that these people weren't crazy, that he sort of went into a shock tailspin for 6 months, walking around saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, just trying to deal with the fact that what he had first thought was, let's say, a psychic break with reality or mentally imbalanced people or whatever. He realized that, in fact, the phenomena was real and that the end game is to create some sort of a human-alien hybrid which will look and pass as human. We're going to go and see a friend of mine, Dr. Roger Lear. Dr. Lear is a podiatrist and a surgeon, and he was drawn into the so-called alien implant removal. He's done about 16 of these surgeries, and they are absolutely phenomenal. We are going to get up close and personal with what these surgeries were and what Dr. Lear discovered when he took these implants out of human beings. What are we looking at here? I mean, I'm looking at, and I can see these like what appear to be implants. The skeptic's going to say, well, it's a BB gun or it's a wire from another operation. What are these objects we're looking at in the x-rays?
Well, I prefer really, Lynn, to take the skeptical point of view because I'm the one that's involved with it. So as far as I'm concerned, these are two cases in which there appears to be metallic foreign body. We don't know whether it's an implant or whether somebody picked up a flying nail. And these are two different cases. As you can see, this one appears to be in the joint, but it's really not. It's in probably soft tissue with what we call a patellar tendon here. But this is an elongated object, and you can see it's metallic. And we know that it's metallic because in reference to the density of the bone, you can see that it's metal. This one here, these two cases, by the way, have not been done yet. These are pending surgeries that we'll do in the future. We use an X-ray device called a C-arm. And the C-arm is a live mobile unit, so that if you make an incision and you insert an instrument, you can see it as you're doing it.
Wow.
And it makes it a lot easier to locate the object and clamp it. Sometimes we found in doing these implant cases that the object moves.
I want to stop you there for a moment, because what you just said, I mean, you've traveled in this, you've witnessed it, but for the viewers who are listening to this for the first time, you just said the objects move. Can you clarify that the object moved away from you on its own power somehow? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. In these cases where you're dealing with a metallic object that's inside the body, you don't see anything from the outside with the naked eye. But when you insert an instrument in the tissue, most of the surgical instruments are stainless steel, and they're supposed to not have any kind of a magnetic field. But for whatever the reason, they seem to react with the magnetic field of the object, and it's as if two like ends of the magnet are towards each other, and the object gets propelled somewhere else. So we've seen this over and over and over again.
I want to get sort of the personal side of the story. When does a person, how do they first contact you and why? What is bothering that person that they would seek you out to begin with?
Well, they usually seek me out now. I mean, this is a drastic difference than when I started this, but we've done 16 surgeries today. So my name is known basically all over the world for doing this kind of research. But so when they come to me today, today's date and time, they usually feel, number one, that they've been involved in the alien abduction phenomenon, and that they have an object, or that they might have an object.
Okay.
What happened to you 20 years ago?
Oh, probably had a car accident, and a sighting. Learned quite a bit about God and the universe in a very short period of time. I feel to be a very fortunate man. And I truly understand the enormity of some of the statements I probably have made.
Yeah. Do you think that...
But I feel that... How do you put it? The truth will set you free, I guess, is the only way you can look at it.
This was a patient who had one in the wrist. This came out of the wrist, and it's probably was 3/4 bigger than this piece. This piece is the piece that's left. This one you should be able to get in.
That's very big. Where did that come out of?
This one, if I remember correctly, was out of a forearm.
Now, is that in a blood type serum? Or
this is in, yeah, this is in the serum from the patient. We find that they seem to be quite happy as long as there's some preservative that's like the human body that it came out of.
I understand you've got some scientific data on the alien implants. Can you explain that to us, please?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that we do is we try and look at these objects from the outside in, so to speak. So when we've gotten the amount of data that we need to get from looking at the outside, then we go deeper into the object and try and get more data as we go through it. And one of the modalities for doing this is testing called an SEM and an EDX. And we're actually looking at one instrument, which is a scanning electron microscope.
SEM. Okay.
SEM. And the EDX is only a term for breaking it down to be quite simple, getting the definitive elements that the object is composed of. And for example, here you see that there are two very large peaks. And at the top of the peak, you see there's an Fe. Well, an Fe stands for iron. So we can tell that the most abundant element in these objects is the iron. So just from looking at that alone doesn't really mean anything. But when you go further through, some of the other graphs, if we were to come up, for example, where we're starting to see nickel in these graphs, and then the ratio of nickel, for example, to the amount of iron that's seen, will give us a clue as to what kind of iron is this. I mean, is this something from Home Depot, or is this something from the Pleiades? So when we see a certain nickel-iron ratio in graphs just like this, we can say in most instances now that we know that it contains meteoric iron, because there's a specific nickel-iron ratio in meteorites. But one of the meteorites found on Earth, one category of meteorites, is a nickel-iron meteorite. Okay. The large meteorite strike in Arizona that created the huge crater was one of these nickel iron meteorites, and of course you can tell by digging through the fragments. So that's the elemental analysis, which is part of scanning electron microscopy. And the other thing, we can use it to take pictures. So we can look at a first few, maybe up to 10 nanometers, just below the surface. Or we can crank up the beam, so to speak, so you get a heavy bombardment of electrons, and we can start to take pictures that are 20 nanometers or 40 nanometers going down through the object.
What did the SEM show you that was anomalous regarding the implants?
We use the data and results, and we can see structures. Structures like carbon nanotubes. You can see this is a structure. And this happens to be a structure, we don't know what it is. So we find things down in the deep crevices of the metal on an atomic level, and they can be ovoids, they can be spheres, or they can have other shapes.
And these do not occur in nature, correct? These nanotubes?
These do not occur in nature, and they don't really occur in the natural process of metallurgy that we use to put unlike metals together and form a compound metal, which we call an alloy. So if we find an alloy of aluminum and iron, it would not look like this. This is something else. Now this is a very interesting one because it shows a line going across here, which is a definitive boundary line. And this is kind of interesting because you don't find in usual metallurgy metallic boundaries such as it's showing
Any
here.
idea what that might be used for?
The only thing that we can come up with is that there were two dissimilar elements that were put together for a reason.
If a skeptic were to look at the evidence, specifically the implants and some of the work that you've done with these, how would they refute them? Metallurgy, which was done off this world. Would you say that this is sort of a smoking gun? Could you call it a smoke? I mean, let me ask, I guess where I'm going with this is there any possible way that our government could create the nanotubes found in these implants, in your opinion?
I personally consider skeptics psychics. I tell them, I say, well, you seem to know everything that there is to know about what I'm talking about or somebody else is talking about, but you never look at the data. So therefore, you must be psychic. So that's in reference to skeptics. Now, in reference to the rest of the question, the smoking gun. Yeah, I would say this is pretty much of a smoking gun. We do know, as I stated before, that black budget science is way, way ahead of academic science. But I tend to doubt, just on a personal basis from what I've seen, that they know how to do all these kind of things. Let's give an example. Let's say if they back-engineered alien craft starting from 1947, which may have been crashes before 1947, but this one seemed to have a lot of attention. If they back engineer that and we have a fleet of these craft that we've learned to fly and are flying around them, we've had 60 some odd years to do that with. But does that mean that they understand the totality of what they back engineered? I would, take probably the best scientists, the best physicists that the world is able to buy and bet against it. It takes time for a society, even with hints, to grow to the point where you're able to use everything that an advanced society that's perhaps thousands or millions of years older, how could we catch up in 60 years or 100 years? So it's not logical. So when you say, yes, this is a smoking gun, it's a smoking gun from the standpoint of academic science. Here we have something you can put your finger on, you can look at it through a microscope, feel it, touch it, test it, and it doesn't come from here.
Fascinating. On a personal level, when some of these patients get these implants removed, what are they feeling? Are they feeling fear? Are they elated that they're removed? Just tell us about, on a personal level, what these people go through.
Well, most abductees are in a constant battle with themselves as to the reality of the situation. Many abductees would rather be diagnosed with a specific mental disease, which could be treatable, than to say I am the victim of somebody coming here from some society somewhere else and taking me against my will for some unknown reason and then doing something with my body. So on the other hand, when they wake up in the morning and they've got a mark that wasn't on their body the night before, or they wake up and they have the feelings of the flu, with muscle aches and pains, extremely thirsty, vivid memories of something that went on, or they wake up and they're not wearing the bedclothes that they went to bed with, then they are in a situation where they begin to wonder, was this a dream or is it a reality? And that begins to carry through. So in most abductees, and I've studied now hundreds, if not thousands of cases, this battle will continue beyond that of a metallic or non-metallic object that's in the body. One of the things that when they come to the realization that we have an x-ray of an object that was in my body that wasn't there the night before, it tends to push them towards the reality that, yes, this is a real phenomenon. It's occurring to me, in our real 3D world, not in a dream or some semi-quasi delusional dream state.
Right.
So then they accept the reality, and then they have to decide whether they want to keep it or whether they want it out. So naturally, all the patients that we've done the removals on, have wanted it out.
In your opinion, what do you think that these implants are doing? Are they perhaps changing the very DNA structure of an individual, or maybe they're tracking devices? What do you think about that?
I'm fairly well convinced that they are not tracking devices, and this is based on several interviews I've done with abductees that have had objects that did not want them removed. One was a case in Brazil who had 2 objects in a toe, but she chose not to have it removed. I lost touch with her, and I really don't know what happened. But she told me in discussing what these objects did, I said, well, you think it could be a tracking device? And she just laughed. I mean, she just gave me the horse laugh. And I said, well, why do you think that's so funny? She said, well, let me tell you. There was an episode with ETs in which they stopped a bug in mid-flight right in front of her in some kind of a beam of light or beam of energy. And they told her that they had the ability to track the DNA of that bug anywhere on this planet. So she said, do you think it's really necessary to have a device to do that? Well, that was some years before we, geneticists, earthly geneticists, realized that each one of our DNA strands has its own electrical configuration. So if we were smart enough, and maybe someday we will be smart enough, all we have to do is build a receiver. If we build a receiver for your DNA, I could track you anywhere. So an advanced civilization using an artificial device to track you, I don't believe makes any sense whatsoever. So what do these things do? Some think they could be behavior modification devices. I really came up with a pet theory. I think that since most abductions involve the taking of ova and sperm, that it's pretty safe to say there's some genetic effect that's going on. Now, Dr. David Jacobs thinks they're making hybrid beings to perhaps repopulate the planet in case some disastrous event occurs, or maybe for some other reason. I'm not saying he's wrong. There very well could be a plan to develop hybrids, and maybe there's hybrids among us. But I think that the spectra of the phenomena is so worldwide and involves so many people all over the planet. I don't think that's the main objective of the group who's doing the most of the abductions. I think that it's more logical to me that they're doing something with our genetics, which they've probably done before. Because if you especially would know, if you look into the biblical history, there's things in the Bible that have all kinds of indications that people have been changed from time to time. Going back all the way to the story of the Tower of Babel.
Sure.
We build the tower, it goes up, God doesn't like it, and what does he do?
Confuses everyone's language.
He confuses the language. Well, what's the converse of that? If he confuses the language so that you can't communicate, and there were, some extensive geographical areas which had to develop, as we did, our own language, then how did we communicate before? But there are people that I have met personally that if there is such a thing as a hybrid, they sure fill the bill.
How would you describe that, elaborate on that for us?
Well, I can give you a classic example. I did last year, I think it was the Bay Area UFO Expo, and a tall fellow with sparse blonde hair came up and was sort of listening to one of our conversations and seemed to be very interested and so on, and one of the members of our group struck up a conversation with him, and in the course of the conversation he was asked, "Where do you come from?" He said, "Well, I came from a long way to this conference to hear, what you researchers have had to say." And it's, "Well, how far did you come?" "Well, I came from Colorado." And yeah, well, that's really great. What do you do? Well, I'm a computer electronics engineer. I work with the computers. And he was asked, he said, "Well, I guess you're probably a really good skier." And he said, "A what?" "Skiing. Don't you go skiing?" And he said, "What's skiing?" Whoa. Well, I think to myself many times, what would it take to convince the masses? Because it would have to, if President Obama came out on national television and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have something to tell you. This is one of the most important things that's happened to mankind. We now know that there are extrasolar planets that have life forms like us, and not only that, but we've learned that they are and have been visiting here for many, many years." I would predict that the following thing would happen: would people, turn the dial and find out what they score on the Lakers game is, or a craft, for example, about mass land. A craft comes down, lands at rush hour time in the middle of the Hollywood freeway. Talk about panic. Yeah, I think there really would be a panic because people would be right away on their cell phones calling some division of the state, Caltrans, to find out when they were going to get it out of there so that they could get home, to watch the Rams. So, that would be the panic.
That's it.
So people are so entrenched in their daily activities. Okay, well, that's nice. We're being visited by non-terrestrials, but I still got to get up and go to work in the morning, and I'm lucky to have a job because, etc. So what would it take to really, show mankind that the most important thing in history is going on? Better than the president, I think, if Walter Cronkite was alive. And he came out on television, he'd have a better chance of convincing anybody than anybody else I know. So maybe it's only going to come if there is some kind of a mass, 1939 type landing, non-hostile, landing with people, constantly looking up. People never look up. They look down, or they look straight ahead. They don't look up. You have people, planes flying by laying chemtrails. And they look up and they say, oh, look, it's a nice thing that the airplane's doing. Must be cold up there because look at the ice crystals. Of course, that was laid down at 6 a.m. and it's now 5 and the sky's all cloudy. So, waking up the masses, that's the big question.
If the so-called extraterrestrial presence manifests, it will be what I would call a mega shift in human consciousness. It will change people's worldview and paradigms like that. We are told in ancient prophetic manuscripts that such an event will come in the last days.
Implants are giving out radio signals, correct?
That's correct. The last few of them that we've done, since we had the equipment, we were able to detect radio frequencies, usually in the FM band, on a classified FCC chart, and found that this particular frequency was a deep space communications frequency, fixed or mobile. So that was quite of a shock.
Will you climb the highest mountain? Will you fight for those who can't? Will you fold and walk away? Or will you stay and take a stand? Don't be silenced by the lights where you can choose to understand. Oh, we've come too far to see us Cumberland.
They want us lost and scarred. Hate the cops, break the law, and the news tries to say what's right and wrong. If you believe that, it's safe to say you probably gone. And I don't wear a mask, why don't you make me put one on? These days, morals and values take a back seat. Underage girls getting paid to shake their ass cheeks. If that was my daughter, get an ass beaten. I was born tough, so I don't need this vaccine. They try to make us feel like we stand alone. Why you think we keep guns and ammo on standby in our home? Common sense ain't so common. Go on social media, read the comments. I'ma vomit with this nonsense.
Will you climb the highest mountain? Will you fight for those who can't? Will you fold and walk away? Or will you stay and take a stand? Don't be silenced by the lights when you can choose to understand. Oh, we've come too far to see us crumbling.
I don't do good with being told that I have to do anything but really think what has really happened to morals and the standards we were taught about. I ought to shout from the highest mountain what I thought about everything that's going on. Children being preyed upon, a righteous path I'm staying on. Reading what they say in songs, I sang a song. God, we need you now has that political. Things we show our kids right now is oh so critical. It's pitiful, pinning us against each other. Guess that is their pinnacle. Tip of the iceberg, sinking ships with their ridicule. Ridiculous, they're infamous for stripping us of innocence, but making innocent victims depend on stimulus.
Will you climb the highest mountain? Will you fight for those who can't? Will you fold and walk away? Or will you stay and take a stand? Don't be silenced by the lights when you can choose to understand. Oh, we've come too far to see us crumbling.
Let's go. The world getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, well, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate. Separate and segregate, don't celebrate quite yet. The storm is coming, cue for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate the values of our country. And our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on the streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour, troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, chosen just neglected, deflected by some breaking news. Oh, we just accept it, expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objectives, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the Testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, lying not a sheep. only kneel to my God. So I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches. I can't take it on the cheap. Nah, drink from a glass half full. I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting, and then I pray for forgiveness.
Oh, one day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now. We need you now. Oh, we need you now. One day. I hope you see the truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.